Hi, this is Mike Sareini in this edition of Meet Your Council, and today we are joined with Chief Ron Haddad from our police department. Chief, thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Well, today we are talking about safety tips in the winter specifically. As we tried to dodge a winter this year, it's starting to come around late and it's getting heavy, so we wanted to give our residents some information that would help them, some simple tips that can actually avoid some issues. So what do you think you could lend to us on that, Chief?
You know, the first thing is give yourself plenty of time. You should at least start 10 or 15 minutes early, and that includes, getting your car totally cleaned off from snow so your vision and your sight lines are clear. And then the other thing is that over 1/3 of all of our accidents happen from rear-end collisions, and in this bad weather, it just tends to escalate. So keep a distance from the car in front of you. And then we come on spots on the roadway that have ice that you don't suspect, and some people think they might have a bag of dirt in the back of their pickup truck, or they might have a four-wheel drive, but that doesn't do much for you on a sheet of black ice. So,
that's true.
So you need to make sure that you understand the roadway and account for it. And the best thing is to slow down.
I agree, and I've seen a lot of people you would see where you could just look out their windshield and they scrape just enough to see, and then that doesn't work most of the time. So I do agree with you. Preparation, getting up earlier, few minutes, warming the car and getting it ready. But then also, there is some things where people do have remote starters, some don't. Some have keyless vehicles now that start and can warm up. What do you have some information on that?
Yeah, we need to really be careful not to have keys left in the car. And, a lot of times parents will bring out the young ones and put them in the back seat, and then they go in and get the bags. That's a no-no. And if your car is properly alarmed and you can do the remote start, that's fine. But you don't want to be a victim of crime, and it's just a real tragedy when they leave a child in a car unattended for any amount of time. That's totally unacceptable. And if our officers come across that, we're going to have to enforce that.
And now we're joined with Chief Murray from our fire department. Well, today we would like to talk a little bit about what we can do for our residents as far as winterizing and what kind of things they can avoid, simple stuff that will help them with this winter. Even though it's late in the year, it's starting to come pretty good.
Sure, very important. We find that our fires definitely increase in the winter months. A lot of that is due to heating elements, so furnaces going on that may have been dormant for a while, or using space heaters or things like that. So about 33% of all fires are actually a result of heating systems in homes. So it's very important that residents take a lot of precautions when using their furnace, making sure that it's cleaned on an annual basis. We do not recommend the use of space heaters, but if they are used in the home, you want to make sure that space heaters are clear of all other objects, at least a 3-foot circle around them, and that they're not near anything that's could catch on fire. About 50% of the deaths nationwide from house fires are as a result of some type of heating element in the home. So it's very important that our citizens are safe when they use space heaters, that their furnaces are cleaned on an annual basis, and also for our residents that have natural burning fireplaces. Very important.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, that's a huge one, and something often overlooked. You want to make sure your chimney's cleaned at least once a year on an annual basis.
Right.
And you also want to make sure that we have protective screens that are sturdy enough in front of the fireplace to make sure that embers and flame doesn't escape out of the fireplace.
Okay, we're wrapping up our segment today with Sean Adams for our residential services area. Sean, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Councilman.
Well, today we're going to talk a little bit about a new ordinance that we have passed on the City Council and what was the rationale for that. And you're in charge of policing it to say or explain to us why this is such a great ordinance. So basically it has to do with the snow removal. Do you want to just give us a brief on it?
Absolutely. The new ordinance amendment prioritized snow removal in areas around churches, schools, and high pedestrian traffic areas to make sure those roads, those sidewalk areas are safe for pedestrian traffic, for our kids and our patrons to our businesses.
Right. And of course, this came about on the council, Sean, because we've seen a lot of businesses did not have it in their plan. I mean, they basically shoveled right in front of their door and not around the sidewalks, and people were falling and couldn't get to it. So I know that we stepped up enforcement in that, and we came up with this new ordinance. Can you explain about the inches, how many inches of snow, and what's the duty for the resident as well as the business owner?
Absolutely. There's 3 inches of snow is the ordinance requirement that must be cleared in front of businesses or any ice that's dangerous for pedestrian traffic, and that goes into effect 24 hours after a snow event.
Okay, great, great. Now we did, this is not something we just passed, but you came up with some good information working with our colleagues. And can you share some of it as far as pamphlets and what we did to alert our residents?
Absolutely.
Here?
Earlier in December, we sent a letter to all of the business owners on the commercial corridors, which is Schaefer, Michigan, Ford, Telegraph, the main commercial corridors in the city, reminding them of their duty to shovel sidewalks and informing them of their ordinance change. And we also worked with the Department of Public Information, and we created these blue flyers, City of Dearborn sidewalk snow shoveling information. We included a diagram of exactly what is expected under the new ordinance, the thresholds for enforcement. We also included some frequently asked questions because we knew we'd get a lot of phone calls about some of the semantics in the enforcement area. And then on the back, we also included a quotation from the ordinance. Right. So prior to any enforcement action being taken, the business owner or the residential homeowner will receive one of these flyers to inform them of their duty to do so.
Well, that's great. So like we say, Sean, we're like the whole important point of this is compliance.
Absolutely. That's what we're looking for.
So, Sean, these pamphlets and information you gave is available on our website, so you can read up a little bit more on it before it gets posted on the door. Hopefully that would help you get some more information. And thank you very much for joining us. This is Mike Sareini at this edition of Meet Your Council.